Hey guys, this is Chelsea Macaron and
Sheldon Steen.
yes, and this is our first ever recording of our new podcast, UnOrthodoxY. Hey Sheldon.
Hey, Chelsea, how's it going?
It's good. So I didn't know if you wanted to introduce yourself first or if you would like me to go first.
I think you should go first.
Okay. So my name's Chelsea Macaron. I'm a licensed mental health counselor in South Florida, sunny South Florida. And I wanted to have a bigger reach. So here we are with this podcast that Sheldon and I kind of discussed. And after he introduces himself, you'll have a little bit better of an understanding of what it's about. So I take a little holistic approach to mental health services. We're kind of where like East meets West, a little bit of a woo-woo vibe. And yeah, my whole thing is just to help as many people as I possibly can. And you may have heard me on as a guest on The Vibe with Kai. So a little shout out to him. And this is our first time doing this. So I'm going to let Sheldon introduce himself.
Yeah, so I am Sheldon. I am a pastor up in North Florida, in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm a Presbyterian pastor in a PCUSA congregation. I also have a PhD in religion, where I studied at FSU here in Tallahassee. I studied ancient stuff, so particularly Second Temple Judaism and early Christianity, and decided not to do anything with that and instead opened a brewery. So my wife and I and 6 of our friends run a brewery together here in Tallahassee, and I make most of the beer and have a blast doing it. So life is a little crazy, but it's awesome.
Amazing. Yes. And so I think Sheldon and I loved the idea of this UnOrthodoxy name because I think I take an unorthodox spin to mental health services and Sheldon takes kind of an unorthodox spin to pastoral services. And we just kind of really vibe a lot on, where mental health services and mental wellness and spiritual wellness can kind of collide. And so today was really kind of just a getting to know us and getting to know, I guess, our beliefs and just talking a little bit and like riffing. So we have no script. This is totally unscripted for the first time. And so, so Sheldon, do you mind sharing a little bit of like your origin story and like how you got to the brewery?
Yeah, for sure. So the long story short, I grew up Christian. I grew up in the church and was kind of like the star youth group kid, memorizing all the Bible verses, learned how to play guitar so I could play in the praise band, that kind of stuff. Went to college knowing that I wanted to be a youth pastor. I wanted to major in religion, and like I was just on the pastor track from the very beginning, and then majored in religion and started studying the Bible and religion and philosophy. It was actually a philosophy/religion program. And my whole like worldview just got shaken, like completely. Didn't really know, what to do anymore because I felt like the faith that I had been handed no longer made sense. It just didn't track anymore. But I got really interested in doing academic work. So after college, my wife and I, we had just been married. We got married during college, and I decided to go to seminary because it left open both tracks of potentially, academic work, as well as, I was still working in the church, even though my faith was very much a mess and not sure what was going on. So I went to seminary, did that for 4 years. That's where we started having kids, and now we've got a whole litter of kids. And throughout that time, my faith was just kind of all over the place. But it was a lot easier to have at least some kind of semblance of faith in a community like that because you're just surrounded by amazing, wonderful, loving people. We're doing just really interesting academic work that I loved. And, it was just like this beautiful little bubble that we lived in. And during that time, like, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, this is fine. I don't know what I believe, but who cares? Like, this is great. After seminary, started serving in a small church in the middle of nowhere in very rural North Florida, and realized very, very quickly that apart from that community, my faith had no legs to stand on. And it began, it was, pretty significant crisis, I guess you could say, of faith, and also mental health all wrapped up in there as well, because as you know very well, Chelsea, we should probably say that too. Chelsea is my therapist, I guess former therapist.
Yeah,
technically.
former therapist. Yeah.
That's how we met was through therapy. So Chelsea knows all of this about me, and I know very, very little about Chelsea.
Well, you'll learn through this.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about that. So yeah, I was in a period for several years of just really struggling with not only my sense of faith, but my mental health, just incredibly depressed because I was living a lie. I mean, there was a certain point where finally I just kind of had to admit to myself that I don't have faith at all anymore. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any of this stuff. I was, fully on the kind of materialist, physicalist, train of like, if we can't see it, observe it, touch it, taste it, feel it, like it's not here. So that was just very, very challenging for several years. Also working on the PhD through the midst of that.
And if I may pause here for a
Yeah,
second, just for
please.
any of the listeners too, like, I mean, think about it. If you as a listener are struggling with your spirituality, struggling with your faith, here you are, you have a pastor right here saying, but I did too, right? So like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
a way to kind of normalize like that spiritual crisis, if you will,
for sure.
where, a religious leader here is saying, hey, I've been there, I've done that. So thank you for sharing that, but I'll let you go on. I just
Yeah,
kind of
no,
wanted to.
no, I appreciate that. I think it's worth recognizing that it's a very common thing for spiritual and faith and religious leaders to have their own crises of faith. It's not common for them to talk about it though, because it doesn't feel safe to, right?
Right.
So I felt, yeah, completely just isolated on my own, couldn't tell anybody. There were a few close friends that I would talk to, a therapist or two here and there that I would talk to. But otherwise, yeah, it was just an incredibly, incredibly lonely existence. And so the brewery ended up that was kind of my way out of ministry. It was my hope. Originally, academia was my way out of ministry. I was working on my PhD. As I'm getting to the end of the PhD, I'm realizing the academic job market is terrible. Our family grew from 3 kids to 5 kids overnight due to adoption and like family drama, which you're all very familiar with. And we just needed to settle down somewhere. Like we couldn't play this game of bouncing around the country from postdoc to postdoc until hopefully a tenure track position opens. Whereas like we gotta lay down roots. So we love Tallahassee, so let's just stay here. And we had some good friends who we go camping with regularly. Often go out to breweries with. I had been homebrewing at that point for about 10 years, and I guess it was decent because they were like, hey, let's open a brewery together. And it was totally crazy, not at all like probably what we should have done, but it's been a blast. We've been doing it for 2 years now. And yeah, it's just been kind of a wild experience all through that. But the irony of this whole thing is, again, like the brewery was my way out of ministry. I was so done, like so ready to be out. I'd been doing campus ministry for a few years on campus at FSU. And then I had transitioned out to the church that I serve now. And this was right in the middle of COVID, June of 2020 that I transitioned there. And I I was just so ready to be out of ministry that like I mean we just couldn't open the brewery quickly enough to start making money to be able to hire me to get the hell out. Like it was just I needed it to be out of ministry so badly. And then things took an even weirder turn where I had issues with my gallbladder and I was waiting for it was like 4 to 5 weeks before the surgery could happen. And during that time, I was just in incredible pain, in bed all the time. And again, I was super, super depressed. This was like the lowest I had ever been at this point. I was having panic attacks like somewhat regularly, like every month or so at least. And it was just, I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. And the gallbladder experience was the thing I think that like finally just kind of broke me apart in the best ways possible. Because I had started in the midst of that, like the reason I came to you initially, Chelsie, I don't know if you remember, but like the reason I came to you initially was because I wanted someone who was a little bit more woo-woo. Not because I believed it at all. Like, but because I was desperate. You know what I mean? Like I had been in therapy. I had had 2 other therapists before that who were lovely, like wonderful people, over a few years. But I mean, that's how like done I was. It's like, man, like, I don't know, like nothing works. Like maybe there's some crystals or some chakras or something that I don't know.
One more person tells me to pray. I'm gonna
Right.
lose it.
Exactly. Like, oh, you're sad. Pray about it. Like,
Yeah.
shut up. It's not helpful.
I need a crystal.
Give me a crystal, right?
Give me a shaman, a Reiki healer, something.
Exactly. But no, exactly. I mean, I think I was at that point of just like desperation of like, I don't believe in any of this crap, this new agey whatever stuff, but maybe I can find someone who, something can happen. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
looking for anything.
Yeah.
And also, you seemed like it was obvious that you're like wooey and all that kind of stuff, but you're also normal, you know? I'm like, she does
Thanks.
seem just like a chill, like not weirdo, you know? Because there is that in that
I'm
space.
not living on the corner of Whole Foods before Amazon bought it,
Right.
but I might be shopping
Right.
in Whole Foods
Exactly.
before Amazon
You're
bought it.
definitely shot. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So during that time, I got started meditating a little bit. I think partially like at your suggestion. Started meditating a little bit. And, I think it was like, oh, this is good. It's relaxing, whatever. But then during those weeks in bed, it was just crazy.
Yeah, you
That
had
is when,
the transcendental meditation started happening for you.
yeah, like it got wild, man, because what I realized was the only thing, like getting into a deep meditative state was the only place I could be pain free. You know what I mean? Like I could take some meds or whatever, and that could help with the pain a little bit. There were things like I could be very careful about what I ate, and that would help. But there were all sorts of things that would just set it off. But getting into a deep meditative state was just like, yeah, man, I don't feel anything, right? So I would literally, and like at this point, my wife Mary she was sleeping on the couch because she's afraid to like be in bed with me and bump into me and that kind of thing. So I would just be in bed, and like I just kind of lost track of all time because I was not doing anything, like my sleep schedule was completely off, and I would literally just like dip into these meditative states for like 3-4 hours at a time, like just chilling there. And, sometimes in and out of sleep a little bit, but mostly just like there. And all of a sudden it was just like the cosmos just opened up,
Yeah.
And I mean, it was inexplicable. It's beyond what I can even still articulate. Like it's really challenging to articulate. But like in that time in particular, it just felt like something, I mean, I'll call it God now, right? But even at the time, it was really hard to like figure out. But like, it felt like God or whatever was literally reaching across the cosmos and just like, here, let me grab your little heart, like take it out, like bust it open, and like, look, isn't it beautiful inside? I'm like, yeah, but it hurts and it's beautiful, like all of it all at once, right?
Yes.
And so then all of a sudden, like, have the surgery, get better, this and that, and like my whole life has changed at this point. I'm still working full time at the church, and I couldn't be happier about it. Like I'm not trying to leave to go to the brewery. I don't want to say I don't struggle with depression at all anymore. I mean, I think I've got some, we all have got these little waves and dips and whatnot, but like it is just nothing like it was before. Like there was just an abject hopelessness that was underlying everything before that, because I mean, there was no, like the world sucked, my life sucked, there was nothing after this, it's like, it's just crap on top of crap on top of crap. And it was just overwhelmingly hopeless. And that's just kind of gone, like it's just gone. And all of a sudden, again, like I'm still a big old goober, I still mess stuff up all the time, and I'm still a jerk and blah, blah, blah. Like I'm not
All the
trying to like
things.
claim, yeah, I'm not trying to claim any kind of like privileged spiritual position or anything. But the fact that I have a spiritual life at all is just still bonkers to me at this point. Because I mean, this is only, in the last 2 years or so that this has been happening. And so I'm still very much in a phase of like figuring out like who I am and what I think and how I want to be in the world, because it's just, the world has opened up in a way that I just truly never anticipated that it could.
But isn't that so true for like every stage of our lives where we're like
Yeah.
constantly like leveling up, if you will,
Yes.
where it's like,
Yes.
okay, you never just like arise, you
Right.
know?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. No, I think you're absolutely right. And in fact, so I have a spiritual director now too, because that's a thing I do, which is so weird. And she's amazing. Her name's Danielle. Shout out Danielle.
Link in
She
bio.
Yeah,
I
sure.
hear podcasters say that all the time. So link in bio. We'll figure out how to do that
Yeah,
after.
for sure, for sure. Her name's Danielle Schroyer. She's amazing, but she is she does Taekwondo, and she was talking to me about this exact thing, about this kind of like leveling up experience, and how like every time you get into this new phase, like every time you go to a new belt, or even like once you've got your black belt and you're adding new notches to it, she said every time you get to that new phase, it is truly like you know nothing again. Like you are back into beginner's mode and beginner's mind. And Like that's what these last 2 years have felt like for me, is like this constant like, oh, like, okay, this is cool. And then like experience or whatever, like something changes and shifts. And then it's like all of a sudden like, wait, I still know nothing. Right. But in the most beautiful way possible,
Right.
like it's
Right.
this beautiful invitation to unknowing and to like to not even trying to know everything, and to continue to grasp at mystery and all of that, of course, and feel around, but to be so content with the unknown and the unknowing of it all.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful.
And I think that that's like such a beautiful testament to kind of how we came up with like our little tagline, like unorthodoxy, rethink everything. Right. And so I
Yes.
think like with this podcast too, everything's on the table. We will be challenging all different topics, like nothing's off brand
Yes.
for us. I mean, like you said, you have this very interesting family dynamic where you have 3 bio kids, 2 adopted kids. It happens super quick. And so talking about family, talking about those kinds of dynamics, marriage, relationships, sex, like all of it,
Yeah.
we'll talk about all of it,
We'll
I mean,
do it.
I'm married. I have a one and done kid. She's 4.5.
One and done.
One and done.
That's good.
I don't want to chance it. Like, I'm not a gambler, and I'm like, the second
Right.
one might not be as good.
Dude, listen, it's a risk.
It is a risk. It is a risk. Like,
That's all I'll say.
I do a lot of parenting in the work that I do, like parenting coaching and like educating parents and like working through like their own triggers and like their own traumas, their own internal childhood, inner child stuff. Like I do a lot of that on my professional side.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try and apply it in my personal life. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do it again. I don't want to.
Yeah, right.
No, we got a good batch here. I hear about, the older and younger children and like birth order and middle child. Oh, no. We're good.
Yes,
we're good
all
with the
those
one.
dynamics,
Yeah, we're good with the one. And you have 5. And I'm just like, I think I'm good.
Let me tell you, 5 is crazy. One's.
Wanted 5 before I had my one.
Did you really?
I did. I wanted like
you
a
literally
full,
wanted 5
I wanted
kids?
so many children. So I didn't want, it's crazy too, because I didn't want kids my whole 20s. Like my entire 20s didn't want children. And then like my husband and I, before we got married, we started we were dating and things started getting serious. And I was like, oh, maybe I do want kids.
How about 5?
I think I just want them with you. Okay, can we have
right.
lots of children? I was an only child growing up. I have 2 half sisters, but growing up, I was an only child.
Yeah.
Like, I think my sisters are 15 and 20 years younger than me. To like,
Wow.
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So I never had that like big family. And so I was like, I want to create it. Yeah, my father's one of 4 bio and 8 combined, like 2 true Brady Bunch.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, I want that. And then I had my daughter and I was like, I'm done. So more power to you for the 5 and taking on, more. I mean, we talked about fostering and we talked about adoption, and I don't think that that's in our cards right now. Yeah. I mean, I'll be 40 next month. My husband is 45. We're good.
No, I hear you. Well, and that's, similarly, we had talked about it forever and ever as a possibility. And then the universe was like, here you go.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah. So I mean, like, I guess for me, like when I started my origin story, I guess, like I knew from an early age that I wanted to help people. And at the time I was 16, I was working in, what are they called? Summer camps. And I was working with like the little kids. And I had like this little like 7-year-old, like little kid run out into the street. And like, we couldn't call him back. And you're not supposed to touch the kids, you know what I mean? But like, he was in the street. So I literally grabbed him out of the street. And he ran into the gymnasium. There was like a ladder, I guess, and like on wheels, like not a true ladder, but like a ladder on wheels, whatever. And he was trying to pull on it. I'm like, what are you doing, kid? Like, you ran in the street, you're pulling on this. Like, what's going on? Curious.
Gosh.
Like most adults are like, don't do that. And I was like, what's happening? And he's like, I want to die. Oh, fuck. Oh, can I say fuck on the podcast? I guess I can.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, can you tell it's our first time?
Baby.
It's unorthodox.
Yeah, right.
It's on brand. And I was like, oh man. And so at that moment, like, I was like, I have to help this person, like this little tiny human. I didn't know how. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I don't remember what I did, but I think that was the pivotal moment for me to know I was going into some kind of helping profession. I didn't know what. I was 16. How could I possibly know? And then through a series of fortunate and unfortunate events, in college, I narrowed it down to mental health counseling. So I got my 4-year degree in 6, and I got my 2 years master degree in 2.
Nice, nice.
Yes. And this is from the girl that nobody thought was going to get out of high school. So it was a huge accomplishment to get my master's degree. Go Sharks. I went to Nova here in South Florida.
They're the Sharks?
Go Sharks. I don't
That's
know.
hilarious. Do
It's
they even have like sports teams?
I don't think so.
Right?
But
Okay,
they
I didn't
do
think
have
so.
sharks as the mascot. So if they do have sports, sorry, Nova, I've just never gone.
Yeah,
Actually,
right.
did I go? Was it Nova? No, that was undergrad. No, I didn't go. I don't know. Didn't go.
Hilarious. All right, sorry. I was just very
It's
distracted
okay.
by it's like, I don't think they play sports. I don't.
I don't think so either. I'll find out. Maybe somebody knows. I don't know. So yeah, so I went and I got my master's in mental health counseling, and then I got my license, and I opened up a private practice while working in nonprofit. So I have like an extensive background in community mental health. Worked there for almost 10 years. I worked in private drug treatment centers. So I feel like when you're like working for nonprofit, they throw every diagnosis at you. Like they're just like, learn it all,
Yeah,
sink or
yeah,
swim,
yeah.
you know?
Right.
And I really liked working. I started out working with kids and I liked it, but I really liked working with the families. And by the time I ended there, I was a program manager for a program that worked with parents who were at risk of losing their children to the court system due to substance misuse. And I loved it because they gave them a therapist, they gave them a case manager, and a peer specialist. And so it was like true wraparound. People had like real like help. And then being the program manager, I was like, oh, now I see the managing entity and I see how we're not really helping anybody. And it's all just like,
Mm.
it was awful.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
And so that's when I kind of went like, after I had my daughter, I went full in private practice. I was just like, I'm done. It was in the middle of COVID. I was like, I'm ready to like be my own boss. My supervisor, she retired. And I was like, it's time. It's time. It's almost 10 years. It's time for a shift, time for a change. I wrote a little workbook for managing anxiety and have imposter syndrome about that. So no link in bio.
Joke's on you. I'm going to find it and put the link in the bio, sucker.
Good luck finding it. I don't know, like, and now, you know, we have a small group practice. And so I'm trying to shift away from like the one-on-one therapy and like moving to doing groups and holding workshops and intensives. So I got really into sound healing, and I noticed that I'm pretty big with TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. Had no idea that I was like living it my whole life until somebody told me about this book, Between Heaven and Earth. And that's the name of it. And I started reading it. I was like, oh my God, like this is how I'm a holistic therapist. It's TCM. And I do
Oh, cool.
Reiki, like myself, I do Reiki and acupuncture and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's all TCM. And so
Right.
now like I really incorporate it a lot with the work that I do. And so that's kind of like my origin story a
That's
little
cool.
bit as
I
to
didn't
how I
realize. So
landed here.
you've only been in private practice for what, 5 years at this point?
So technically I opened in 2016. Healthy Minds and More has
Okay.
been established since
Okay.
2016. And of that time, I did not roster with any insurance companies. And I only had a total of 5 private clients that I went to their homes.
Okay. Gotcha.
I wasn't, I was in community mental health and I didn't really have the
Yeah. You were
time or
doing
the
that on the
resource.
side.
Yeah, I was on the side.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until COVID happened and virtual, like medical telehealth
Yeah.
kind of opened up that
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is great because now I can come home from work and be completely tired from running around on the streets all day because I was doing in-home with my work.
Right.
And I can like have a session or 2 at night, and it was wonderful. And then we were grounded with COVID for sure, like no more in the office, like the courts were all Zoom, everything was Zoom. And I was like, you know what, I think it's time. So I started to really build my practice and my caseload. And then once I had like a solid enough caseload that I felt comfortable stepping away, I stepped away, and I focused solely on my private practice, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. I mean, at the time it was super hard. I had a baby at home, and I would see a client, and then I would take like a half-hour break and breastfeed, and then see a client and take a half-hour break. So my
Wow.
mom was home with me and my daughter. So my mom would watch my daughter while I was in session.
Right.
But it was the only way that I could really be home with my daughter, because I don't know, you didn't have littles at that time. So the daycares were booked because they had a minimal amount of students allowed.
Yeah.
And then I also didn't feel comfortable with it. But like even still, you couldn't get in. They had wait lists. It was so hard to get in.
Right.
Of the good ones anyway. And
Yeah. Right.
So I kept her home until she turned 2 after her second birthday. And then after her second birthday, we did 3 half days a week of a summer camp, and she loved it.
That's awesome.
Like, she absolutely loved it. So she stayed at that preschool for the next year, and I just started building a bigger caseload because I had more hours because she was doing more school. And now she's 5 days a week, 9 to 3, like a normal student.
Nice.
Yeah. And parenthood changed me, man. So after going through my postpartum issues, because even though I was working, I was really struggling with postpartum anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't find a therapist. Like, I kept
Mm.
calling around, and they had wait lists, or like, and
Wow.
when I say wait lists, like 6-month wait lists, or
Yeah,
they
yeah,
weren't
yeah.
taking new patients at all. And so I was like, well, what the F, man? So I found postpartum support international, and they have free resources for moms, but I was like, I want like one-on-one stuff, and I couldn't find anything. So what I did was I got certified,
Oh,
and
cool.
everything that I learned in my
You're like, I'll
certification,
just be that.
I'll just be that. I'll just be that. So I was there with my baby on
Heck yeah.
boob in the classes virtually because it was COVID. So I was like, why not get the certification? What else am I doing?
Dude, that's awesome.
And so I got the certification with the baby on boob, but I got the certification so that I could apply it to my like self, and like
Right,
whatever.
right.
And so I want to say about a year and a half to 2 years ago, I really niched down because now, I mean, my daughter's 4.5 years old. I'm not suffering with those things anymore, struggling with those things
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So so now I'm helping moms so that they don't have to face the same thing that I faced, where it's like I have nowhere to go. So I have a mom support group on Thursdays. It's group therapy, I guess. And then that's like my specialty is a perinatal certified
Dude, that's
counselors.
so cool. I didn't realize that. That's
No?
that's really badass. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
knew you were doing some more group stuff, but yeah, that's really cool.
Groups are hard to break into. They're really hard
Yeah, yeah.
because the marketing
Just to
and
like
everything.
build up a group of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the marketing is really tough, and like finding a good time for everyone. So it's like, even though I
Mm-hmm.
have
Right.
7 amazing moms, it's like, even though it's on Thursdays at noon, some of them are like, oh, I got pulled into a work meeting, or oh, there's a
Well,
mommy and
yeah.
me this week, or oh,
They're
my
moms, right?
baby's
Exactly.
sick, And so it's
Yes.
like finding the attendance is really hard. So I need like 20 moms so that
Mm-hmm.
we have a
Mm-hmm.
consistent attendance. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's a little bit about how I got to where I am. But yeah, it's unorthodox, right? And
Yeah. Well, can I ask you some
you can
follow-up
ask me
questions?
anything. Yeah.
Sweet. All right, cool. So, well, I am curious, thinking about the unorthodoxy kind of thing, thinking about how, like, the way you thought about mental health and approaching it and everything from like when you first started to where you are now. Like, what has shifted for you, and what kinds of things precipitated those shifts?
So I think when I first started, it's all like textbook. You're fresh out of school and you're very focused on like the interventions and, oh, this is Adlerian and this is Youngarian. And like you're focused
Mm-hmm.
on
Mm-hmm.
gestalt and empty chair technique. And like you're
Right. Right.
very theoretical oriented and EBT, evidence-based therapy practices based. And I think because I was thrust in this field and none of my clients were out of a textbook.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and when you have, so when you're working in community mental health, you have a lot of like low socioeconomic status clients too. And I remember this is like one that like stuck with me forever as far as like our systemic issues,
Yeah.
and like our social issues. But like she had 9 pregnancies, and I think she had like 5 abortions. Like she had 9
Yeah.
pregnancies.
Yeah.
And so having that conversation with her about family planning, essentially, like we offered all of our women IUDs, like our program paid for it. We had a grant for that. And so we were talking about that. She says to me, and I'll never forget this, but the only way you can get pregnant is while you're menstruating. And that's not the word she used. Like, she was a little more graphic than that.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
fact that
Yeah.
she had 9
Wow.
pregnancies and went through
Yeah.
5 abortions, 4
Yeah.
deliveries, and not one doctor had a conversation with her about how conception
About how
happens.
pregnancy happens. Yeah.
And she thought the only way, so she was having intercourse
Mm.
while she was ovulating,
Right.
thinking she
Well,
wasn't going to
thinking
get
she was
pregnant.
safe. Yeah. Right.
And this was not a
Oof.
young woman. Like this, she was not a young woman.
Man.
I think she was in
Yeah,
her
that's
like late
tough.
20s, early 30s. You know what I mean? Like how did the system fail this woman? right? And so I think that those types of things really shifted me from being that textbook green
Yeah.
therapist
Yeah.
to I'm going to get more processed oriented, and I'm going to focus more on where is my client at, because she
Mm-hmm.
did not need
Mm-hmm.
to be doing empty chair technique and processing her inner child
Right.
and like
Right.
talking about
That's
the
not right for
trauma.
her.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, like, she
Yeah.
came from a really rough background and like there was a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, like whatever, but like that's not what she needed. And
Yeah.
so I think
Yeah.
like one of the things that I really learned too is like, not all, but some therapists have their own agenda. And I know
Mm-hmm.
I was that therapist at one point where I was
Mm-hmm.
coming in with my little list of things that, from our assessment, that this is what we should be working on. And like we
Right.
have our own biases. And I think that that one client, and it's crazy, this is now like a decade later, it still sticks with me,
Yeah. Yeah.
that it's not about that. And so I think like I have shifted into being a lot more present with my clients and like just kind of
Mm-hmm.
coming at it from, and I'm sure there's a theory out there that supports the way I do it. I just, because every time I talk to my therapist friends, they're like, but that's very Adlerian, that's Jungarian,
Yeah.
that's Rogerian. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. I know I'm hardcore CBT. Like I am
Yeah.
hardcore
Yeah. Yeah.
CBT
Yeah.
because I believe in it. I believe your thoughts perpetuate your feelings, and then your feelings perpetuate your behaviors, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
made me punch the wall. No, no, your perspective of
Yeah.
what they did made you punch the
Yeah.
walls.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. So I do tend to rely heavily on CBT, and I think all these other acronyms that have come from it, like DVT and ACT and
Right. Right.
like that's just like when talking about going back to my my roots of working in drug treatment, like that's like AA, CA,
Mm.
CODA,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Right. Right. Right.
Gamblers
Right.
Anonymous, like all the
Yes.
anonymouses
All the
comes from
different
AA. Just
offshoots.
go to AA.
Yeah.
Like they're the founders, like go. And
That's
I know
awesome.
some
Yeah.
people would say, but it doesn't change with the times, it doesn't like tailor to your needs. Like, sure, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so go to AA, change the word addict to codependent, change the
Yeah. Whatever you need.
change
Yeah.
the word alcohol to
Absolutely.
gambling, change the whatever. Like, I don't know.
Totally.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. No, that's really interesting. And I mean, it makes me think about. So I think I told you recently that like I've been doing a huge deep dive into Carl Jung lately. Like I'm just
mhm.
obsessed with Jung. But
I
that's
love
very
that you call
much.
him Jung and I call him Young.
Oh, that's yeah. I don't know what's right. I
I
just
don't know.
But like that was very much his approach as well. Is he's like you throw out the book with every single client. Like every client is individual. Every client has individual needs. Like me forcing a paradigm or a practice or whatever onto them, that's not going to do anything for them if that's not what they need, you know. And so he was all about like really digging deep into the person's psyche to like figure out like what is it that this person individually needs, not the one size fits all kind of thing.
And so I don't know if this is Jungian or not, but the other thing that I do too is it's like I guess kind of going into like the chakras and the meridians
Mm-hmm.
on like when
Mm-hmm.
talking about TCM, the chi, so to speak. Like I don't use the language in therapy, but like a lot of the times our emotions are trapped in a part of our body, right?
Yeah.
Like think about
Yeah.
migraines, think about ulcers. Like those are things
Yes.
that people commonly equate. Oh, I got a stress headache, I got a stress migraine, or oh, I'm stressed out, I got an ulcer, right? Like we think about that all the time, but like the frog in the throat or the heart, the heart chakra, like the heavy chest, like. And so when I'm talking to people about their stress or their depression or their anxiety or whatever it is they're going through, I'm like, well, where do you feel it in your body? Like that's one of my
Right. Such
questions.
a good question.
You
Such a good
know,
question.
it's so telling. And I'm not going to be like, okay, you need to move your chi, but like it gives me
Yeah.
insight
Yeah.
into like, into what's going on as well. So I think
Yeah.
that's also changed a little bit
Mm-hmm.
since first starting out, because I graduated in 2012. I was older for my graduating class because I did my undergrad in 6 years instead of 4. So I was like 2 years older than my cohort, but of course not counting the people who were going back for their like second,
Right. Of course.
career
Yeah.
change. But so I
You were the
think
middle child in between those
I
two.
was I was the
Yeah.
middle child.
Yeah. Which is everyone, as everyone knows, is the best child. So it's fine.
Are you a middle child?
Is it obvious?
I'm an well, I was raised an only. Yep. And subsequently eldest.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. But I feel like we're like at a good stopping point for today and like the get to know you stuff. And so it's November now, we're recording. We will post this in January of 2026. And so hopefully we'll get like once a month going out. And we'll interview each other and then maybe have some guests coming on. I
Yeah.
know I met a functional medicine pediatrician who would like to be guest
Cool.
star
Oh, that's awesome.
on Unorthodoxy. So I think that that's a little unorthodox as well and on brand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think with your PhD and your knowledge base, I think that that would be very interesting to see the science and the faith kind of
Yeah. No,
chat a
for
little
sure.
bit. So yeah, this is just us, and this is like the tip of the iceberg of what the audience is going to get to see and hear.
That's right. We're
Cool.
going to have some fun. And yeah, like you said, we're just going to do all sorts of stuff and like everything's on the table. So
Everything's on the table. So maybe we'll
we'll
do
see
some
where we go.
Q&As and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll see
Yeah, for
how big
sure.
this gets. All right,
Totally.
I'm gonna hit stop. Oh, thanks
Cool.
guys for coming for Unorthodoxy. Okay. Cool.